All right, this is some help with quiz 5.03 on basic probability. So the formula we're going to use for all of these is this basic probability formula. The number of outcomes in an event, so that's what they have, this N is E, all of those possible outcomes divided by the number of outcomes. So this is how many outcomes they're referring to out of the total sample space. So let's take a look how that works. What is the probability of spinning a 3 on the spinner below? So check it out. So we need these two pieces of information. So what is the probability of spinning a 3? Well, how many 3s are there on this spinning wheel? So if we look, there are only 2, right? We have one here and one here. So our number of possible outcomes in this event is 2. Then we want the total number of outcomes. So that means how many choices are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So our total outcome are 8. And so 2 out of 8 is the chances of getting a 3. Now we want to reduce, depending on how they want you to leave your answer, we can reduce the fraction. So that will reduce to 1/4. If they tell you to put it as a decimal, you would in your calculator do 1 divided by 4 to get 0.25. If they want it as a percent, remember as a percent you move your decimal 2 places to the right or either multiply by 100 to get your percent. All right, our next one is cards numbered 1 through 40 are mixed up and placed in a bag. Malik chooses one of the cards without looking. What is the probability that Susan, oops, that should be Malik or Susan, chooses a card with a number less than or equal to 8? So same formula we're going to use. How many number of outcomes would we have? So if we want something less than 8, or equal to, that would be 1 through 8, right? So because it's got this or equal to, we include 8 in our possible choices. So that is 8 different numbers, right? 1 through 8. And then our total, we have cards numbered 1 through 40, so there are 40 total choices. So 8 out of 40. That fraction reduces down to 1/5, right? 8 will go into 45 times. 1 divided by 5 is 0.2, and if we move the decimal 2 places to the right, we get a 20% chance. So that's a 20% chance that that card pulled out of the bag is going to be either a 1 through 8. This one says, what is the probability that Steve randomly pulls a red marble out of the bag? And then they tell us that the bag's got 4 green marbles, 3 blue marbles, and 2 red marbles. So our number of outcomes that's possible in this event, well, we want red marbles, right? So there are 2 red marbles, so that is our numerator. And then if we add up the possible choices, 4 plus 3 plus 2, there are 9 marbles in that bag. So we have a 2/9% chance of pulling a red marble. If they wanted this, they said as a percent, so 2 divided by 9 is going to give us a decimal. Multiply by 100 or move your decimal 2 places to the right will give you our percent. So 22.2% chance of pulling that red marble. All right, this one says that Caleb randomly selects a card from a standard deck of cards. What's the probability he selects a black jack? Nowadays with video games, I found out last year that a lot of students don't know how many cards are in a deck. So just have a little brief picture up here of a deck of cards. A deck of cards has a total of 52 cards. And then there are different suits. So there are 13 in each suit. All right, you've got your spades, your hearts, your diamonds, and your clubs. So there are 2 sets of black cards, 2 sets of red cards. So this is the jack here. We have a jack, a queen, a king. The aces are down here. So if you look, there are 2 black jacks. Okay, so if you've never played cards. They're kind of fun. You might try it sometime. So we have a possible of 2. That's our possible outcomes for a blackjack. We have 1 here, and we have 1 here. Okay, the other 2 are red. So 2 out of a total of 52 cards. And so, and we're not counting jokers, okay? So no jokers. We're going to assume there's no jokers. We can reduce this fraction to 1 over 26. If they wanted a decimal, 1 divided by 26 is 0.038, and move the decimal 2 places to the left to get 3.8%. So 3.8%. All right, this one says the months of a year are written on cards and dropped into a box. Paul selects a card without looking. What is the probability that Paul selects a month that begins with the letter J? Write it as a decimal, round to the nearest hundredth if needed. Same formula, okay? So how many outcomes? So there are 12 months in a year, right? So we know what our denominator has to be. And so if you can't remember, write them out. So here are the months of the year: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I think I spelled that wrong. Oh well, ignore that. September, October, November, December. So let's look at the ones that start with J. We have January, June, and July. So there are 3 possible outcomes out of the 12 months. That fractional reduced to 1/4. That gives us 0.25, or there is a 25% chance. Of course, they wanted the decimal rounded to hundredths, so that would be the correct answer. Good luck on the quiz.